it's running 3-6, 6-2, 6-1.
New ground for Alexandra Eyala from the Philippines.
Imagine stepping onto the sacred grass of Wimbledon's center court, surrounded by the deafening roar of a historic crowd, standing across the net from the absolute most dominant force in modern women's tennis. Nobody gave her a chance. Every single analyst, every sports anchor, and every betting odd declared the match over before it even started. They said it was impossible. They said a rising star couldn't possibly stand the pressure of a multi-time Grand Slam champion. But today, the tennis world didn't just witness a match. It witnessed an absolute miracle that will be talked about for generations to come. Alex Eyala did not just play today. She shocked the entire planet, staging an unreal, mind-bending comeback that left world number 1 Iga Swiatek completely speechless and sent the entire Wimbledon stadium into absolute eruption. If you think you know how intense professional tennis can get, you need to clear your schedule right now. Because what took place over the last 3 hours defies all logic, shatters every expectation, and permanently rewrites the history books of sports. Let's set the stage because to truly appreciate the magnitude of what Alex Eyala accomplished today, you have to understand the sheer mountain she had to climb. Entering this highly anticipated round 3 matchup, the pressure was suffocating. On one side of the net stood Świątek, a tactical mastermind known for her suffocating baseline play, lightning-fast footwork, and a psychological iron will that routinely crushes opponents in straight sets. On the other side stood Eyala, carrying the hopes, dreams, and immense pride of an entire nation, entering the grandest stage of them all as a massive underdog. The atmosphere inside the stadium was electric, thick with tension as fans watched the players warm up, knowing they were either about to witness a routine clinical victory by the world's best or a dramatic battle for survival. When the umpire called time and the first set commenced, it immediately looked like the critics were going to be proven right. Świątek opened the match with a terrifying display of precision and raw power. Her forehands were biting deep into the corners, her serve was untouchable, and her defensive transitions left virtually no openings for Eyala to exploit. Within what felt like a blink of an eye, Świątek broke Eyala's serve, racing out to a commanding lead. Every time Eyala tried to construct a point, Świątek had a devastating answer, moving her across the baseline and forcing errors. The first set was a masterclass in championship tennis, concluding in a dominant fashion that left the crowd hushed and Eyala's coaching box looking visibly concerned. It wasn't just that Świątek won the opening set. It was the demoralizing way she did it, making it seem like there was a vast, unbridgeable gulf in experience and execution between the two competitors. As the second set began, the narrative seemed completely set in stone. Świątek broke early once again, quickly building a lead that felt like a permanent death sentence for Eyala's tournament hopes. Fans in the stadium were already whispering about how quickly the match would wrap up, and commentators were actively discussing Świątek's potential opponents for the next round. Eyala looked down at her racket, her shoulders heavy under the weight of the immense moment. She was facing multiple break points that would have put her down a double break, a deficit from which no one recovers against a player of Świątek's caliber. The entire stadium held its breath, expecting the final nail in the coffin. But right there, on the absolute brink of elimination, something invisible yet incredibly powerful shifted inside Alex Eyala. Instead of folding under the immense pressure, instead of accepting what looked like an inevitable defeat, she dug her sneakers deep into the grass, looked across the net, and decided that she was not going down without an absolute war. What happened next can only be described as a sports miracle. Eyala began to unleash a brand of tennis that nobody in the stadium, least of all Świątek, saw coming. Facing those critical breakpoints, Eyala didn't play safe. She went on the absolute attack. She blasted a screaming forehand winner right down the line that caught the absolute edge of the white paint, sending a jolt of energy through the crowd. She held her serve, surviving the immediate scare, and you could visibly see the belief flooding back into her eyes. Suddenly, the defensive, hesitant player from the first set was completely gone, replaced by a fearless warrior who refused to miss. Eyala started matching Swiatek's heavy baseline hitting stroke for stroke, absorbing the world number one's legendary pace and redirecting it with devastating angles. The crowd, sensing a monumental shift in momentum, began to rally behind the young underdog, cheering wildly for every point she won. The chants of encouragement echoed through the rafters, and the energy inside center court completely transformed from a quiet exhibition into a roaring coliseum. Eyala began targeting Swiatek's second serve with relentless aggression, stepping inside the baseline and hammering returns right at her opponent's feet. For the first time in the match, Swiatek looked genuinely rattled. The flawless, robotic precision of the world number one began to crack under the sudden immense pressure of Eyala's resurgence. Uncharacteristic, unforced errors started creeping into Swiatek's game as she struggled to find an answer for Eyala's blistering depth. Eyala broke back, leveling the second set, and the stadium erupted into absolute madness. The players traded brutal, exhausting rallies, sprinting from corner to corner, neither willing to yield an inch of ground. The second set pushed deep into a high-stakes tiebreak, a nerve-wracking test of mental fortitude where a single mistake would mean the end of the road. In the tiebreak, Eyala showed a level of maturity and composure that completely belied her age. While Świątek pressed too hard, sending a crucial forehand long, Eyala remained absolute rock solid. With a brilliant combination of a drop shot followed by a perfectly executed lob, Eyala captured the second set, sending the match into a deciding third set. The crowd was on its feet, roaring in disbelief at the unreal comeback they were, witnessing with their own eyes. The third and final set was an absolute physical and emotional roller coaster that pushed both athletes to their absolute limits. Świątek, showing the true heart of a champion, completely reset her mind and came out swinging with immense fury, determined to reassert her dominance. The two tennis stars engaged in absolute gladiatorial warfare, matching each other hold for hold, break for break. The sheer athleticism on display was breathtaking, with both players sliding on the grass, chasing down impossible balls, and unleashing spectacular winners that left the commentators gasping for air. As the set progressed deep into the closing stages, the tension inside the stadium became almost unbearable. Every single point felt like a matter of tournament life or death. Eyala's physical endurance was tested like never before, her muscles burning from hours of high-intensity sprinting, but her spirit remained completely unbreakable. Serving to stay in the match at a critical juncture, she stared down match points against her, the absolute highest pressure situation imaginable in sports. Yet again, she refused to break. She saved the match points with cold-blooded nerves, hitting back-to-back aces that left Świątek standing frozen at the baseline. With the score deadlocked, Eyala made her move. She played a flawless return game, guessing Świątek's serve perfectly and striking a magnificent cross-court winner to earn a crucial break of serve. The stadium was in a state of absolute pandemonium. Eyala stepped up to serve for the biggest match of her entire life, her hands shaking slightly as she bounced the tennis ball on the worn grass. She took a deep breath, tossed the ball into the London sky, and delivered a powerful serve out wide that Świątek could only stretch out and frame into the net. It was over. The impossible had just become reality. Alex Eyala dropped her racket, threw her hands over her face, and fell to her knees on the grass as tears of absolute joy streamed down her face. The entire Wimbledon stadium absolutely erupted into a standing ovation that lasted for minutes, recognizing that they had just witnessed one of the greatest, most dramatic upsets in modern tennis history. The scoreboard told a story that left experts completely scratching their heads in disbelief. Across the net, Iga Swiatek stood completely speechless, staring at the grass, unable to fully comprehend how a match she had completely under control had slipped through her fingers due to the sheer, unstoppable will of her opponent. This victory is not just a standard match win. It is a seismic shift that sends shockwaves through the entire tournament draw and announces Alex Eyala as a true elite force to be reckoned with on the world stage. She proved to the entire world that rankings are just numbers on a piece of paper, and that with enough heart, belief, and fearless aggression, absolutely any giant can be toppled. The dramatic way she turned this match around, from the absolute brink of a straight sets defeat to a triumphant celebration on center court, will go down as an instant classic. As the tournament moves forward into the next critical phases, all eyes will be squarely focused on Eyala to see how far this incredible momentum can carry her. One thing is absolutely certain. After today's mind-blowing performance, nobody will ever underestimate her again. What an absolute privilege it was to watch this historic battle unfold. A true testament to why we love this beautiful sport. Make sure you share your thoughts on this unbelievable upset.